All right, now the headaches continue to mount for the Obama White House. Senior advisor David Axelrod is now, quote, denying a report that the administration is going to cave on extending the Bush tax cuts for the wealthy, after telling the Huffington Post that he didn't want to trade away security for the middle class to make a point, meaning that he might compromise on tax cuts for the rich. He now tells the National Journal, quote, we're willing to discuss how we move forward, but we believe that it's imperative to extend the tax cuts for the middle class and don't believe we can afford a permanent extension of the tax cuts for the wealthy. Now that sounds good, but notice that he said we can't afford a, quote, permanent extension, which means they are definitely open for business on extending the tax cuts for the rich, at least temporarily. So we appear to be exactly where we were before, with the White House ready to compromise or buckle, depending on your perspective. So for more perspective on this, let's bring in Michael Scherer. He is the White House correspondent for Time magazine. In the current issue of Time, he writes about the White House grappling with a new reality, and also joining us, Joan Walsh. She's the editor-in-chief at Salon. All right, so Michael, let me start with you. Is it a compromise or a buckle?
It's a compromise. I mean, you can call it a buckle if you want, but it's just admitting the reality of the situation. If Obama had done better, if Democrats had done better in the midterm elections, they would be coming back with a different set of abilities. Right now, even the Democratic caucus in the Senate is not holding together. It is not really an option. I just heard Adam speak about Obama needing to fight Republicans and draw a line in the sand on this. He has to fight his own party. There's 3 or 4 members of the Democratic caucus who've already bolted from him on this issue.
Right. Well, believe me, knowing Adam, I think he's willing to fight members of his own party, which I'm not sure about the president. Now, Joan, what do you think about that? I mean, is this the new political reality? Does Obama have to go towards the Republicans because of the elections?
No, I mean, it's the old political reality, because the reality is that he never did have 60 votes, so he's always been having to kind of try to lure, cajole, or, you know, grab some of the conservative Democrats. It's always been tough, but, you know, the thing that's frustrating progressives today is that there doesn't seem to be a fight. You know, Obama admitted to one mistake in his recent interview, where he said, you know, looking back at the stimulus, I really wish maybe I should have held off on tax cuts and made the Republicans come to me and compromise. Use the tax cuts that were in the stimulus bill, which were not stimulative. They were a cave-in from the get-go. Use them to lure some Republican votes. How about that? How about compromising? How about leading with a fight and then forcing other people to come to you, or at least telling the American people the truth? If they give up on these tax cuts right now and say we will temporarily extend them, goodbye. They are permanently extended. This next Congress will not reverse them. It is a massive cave-in. People are furious today, and they should be.
Michael, can you see how that might seem to some as a preemptive surrender? That maybe the better strategy, even if you're going to go down that route, is to actually have negotiations and then say, all right, you win. What am I going to do? All right, I'll give you a year's worth of tax cuts for the rich. But when you say in the beginning, well, I'm going to give it to you, it seems like you're conceding far too early at the least.
Well, what the White House is doing here is playing to the center. They see the midterm election results as really a swing of independence from 2008 to 2010. And what they're trying to do is reposition the president going into next year as the person who is fighting for the middle class, who's fighting above partisan labels, fighting above party, fighting to actually help the American people going forward. If you look at David Axelrod's quote to Huffington Post, he says that the real important thing here is to make sure that the middle class doesn't have their taxes increased. That is the sort of meat cleaver that's hanging over this debate. If they're not able to come to some compromise by the end of the year, everyone's going to have their taxes increased, and that's where the pressure for compromise comes from.
Of course, but if he did fight, he could then turn around and blame it on the Republicans, like they're blaming it on him. It always seems like there's some sort of like disarmament. Why can't he do the same thing Republicans do?
You know, Michael, you know I love you. Michael and I work together, but look, this is the way he came into office. He saw his mandate from the beginning, not as a progressive mandate, but a mandate to change the tone and to change Washington. Now, we can debate. Maybe he was somewhat right about that progressives alone did not elect him. However, a lot of the independents he lost, they were independents in name only. They were Republicans who were scandalized by the Bush administration, and predictably they went home. You look at this electorate this time around in 2010, he lost a lot of people, especially young people who came out for him in 2008. If they want to play with the same set of voters, and they want to fight over those voters in the middle and not expand the electorate and not play to their base and basically be Republican light, that's a recipe for disaster for the country and for the Democrats.
I'm not sure they think they can really expand that base electorate much beyond 2008. It was a historic election. They brought tons of people to the polls. They're hoping to retain them. They can't lose that base, but they see the next 2 years as a battle for the middle. And I think Republicans will see that as well, which is the thing that will bring them to the table. Right now you see Republicans on the Hill playing to their base, talking tough. You know, this fight may be lost for a year or two on tax cuts, but I do think Republicans are going to have to come to the negotiating table too as well.
Michael, I got to ask you one last question though in regards to that, because I feel that Washington often, and including the Obama White House, makes the mistake of thinking that the middle of the country is where the middle of Washington is. The middle of Washington is definitely go towards the Republicans, concede on the tax cuts, etc. But if you look at the polls, look at this. I mean, the one Adam just quoted, where people were like, "Hell no, don't cut Social Security." That's not the middle of the country. People are like, "Hell no, enough with the tax cuts on the rich." 70% wanted the public option. A huge percentage want to get tough on the banks. But that's the center of the country, and it doesn't seem like Obama's going anywhere near that. He's going to the center of Washington.
Well, the polls on the tax cuts for the rich are split 40-60, depending on how you ask the question. The polls on Social Security, and this is the deficit conversation, are very different. Nobody wants you to take anything away from them. They're fine if you take money away from the other guy, just don't take money away from me, because Social Security is so broadly based. You're going to get polls like that. The reality is, with the deficit situation, you have to stop spending as much or you have to increase taxes, so people are going to lose things. The first line of that report that came out yesterday from the co-chairs of the Deficit Commission is, this is going to be painful. And so there are going to be, everybody's going to have to, for this to be done well, or even successfully, everybody's going to have to feel some pain. And I think that's where Obama is as well.
Except for the rich, of course, because they get their rates cut down to 23%.
The rich are going to go down. And
so what a shock.
Because investment bankers can work till 70. Janitors should work till 72.
I know. It turns out, shockingly, the rich are the ones that wind up with the biggest prize. I can't believe that happened. All right, Michael Scherer and Joan Walsh, great conversation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.